spectacular. So thank you for that. Okay, so last week I had my talk on the zombies and the zombie way of life, and I want to let you know I went out of here and I had a birthday party to go over to the aquarium, so I went to the aquarium and had a good time at the birthday party and spent about 3 hours there, and about driving home around 4 o'clock in the afternoon on last Sunday. I'm up 85 only for the car right next to me to be the zombie response vehicle. Literally. So that same demonstration occurred from last week's talk on there. And then I talked to somebody, I said, you won't believe it, I gave a talk in the morning about zombies, and sure enough there's a zombie response vehicle. And they said, oh yeah, that's the CDC's information van that goes around and shares information on what they do when there's a release of virus or something like that. So anyway, it's just interesting how in mind you put something out like that. And it happens all the time, and you think it's coincidental, but it's not. It's you buying into universal time. Another time that I was doing that out of the blue, all of a sudden the discussion came up in the car about Nag's Head, Nag's Head, Nag's Head. And sure enough, within a minute, the car that went by has a Nag's Head bumper sticker. So the more that you get in touch with this understanding of the subconscious mind and how it works and how we're a part of that and everything like that, the more the universe has this law of attraction that comes back at you all the time. That quick of a demonstration. So that's what my talk is a little bit today, is about how do we get another quick demonstration going on. I'm going to talk a little bit about the presidency and what's happening on Tuesday, and not to give our power away to that. But more importantly, I wanted to give you 3 different talks on how to turn back the hands of time. And doing that last night, I loved it last night. The extra hour sleep, it was really sweet. We really enjoyed that. And I was reading the paper today, and it says, yes, we have this until March 10th. So let us enjoy it while we can. And I enjoy the bright early mornings and things like that. So we have that for a little bit. But I want you to know we are such powerful individuals, demonstrating the free parking, seeing all those things. It's not really circumstantial, but you may want to call it that for the time being. But we're powerful people, and if you only knew how every single one of us and how powerful we are at this very moment. You are so powerful that you demonstrated this day and the unfoldment of this day. You are so powerful that you demonstrated the means to get here today. You're so powerful that you demonstrated all the clothes that you wore today. You're so powerful that you demonstrated a strong and able body to be here today. But the sad thing is that you don't call that power. You just call it life, and that's normally what you do to get here. You just say these things that everyone needs and everyone provides for themselves. But you know what? You're right to an extent. We are now in the midst of this Troward class, and we're learning that life itself pushes us everything forward with the law of averages. Life pushes everything forward with the law of averages. So the average person is able to demonstrate all those things I just mentioned to you. And you're correct. But as our intelligence increases about this thing called life and the law of life, we see that as our intelligence grows, we are able to grow out of the law of averages and into the law of cause and effect. So that's what Paul and I are up here every single Sunday talking about, is how do we rise above the law of averages, which is the law of life pushing everything forward, into this law of cause and effect, into this intelligent use of the law of growth that's trying to push us forward all the time. For so long before coming to a teaching such as this, we demonstrated perfectly on the law of averages. We use that law of growth. You win some, you lose some. Some good things happen, some bad things happen. And for some things, some bad things happen, and some bad things happen. And all along our path up to the point of finding a teaching such as this, our lives were being demonstrated at the law of average level. But back through our entire lives, the law of life, the law of growth was working perfectly. And through all of those very past, very special moments in time, and not so special moments in time, there may be past moments that we've regretted by using those law of averages and where we come up with those. There may be a past moment where we're still beating up ourselves for a missed opportunity of something that we didn't do when we're going back in time. There may be a time in the past where we loved incorrectly and we beat up ourselves for doing it that way. There may be a time in our past where we could have made better decisions about our health, or we made decisions and we feel that they may have been the wrong ones. Then we come to a day like this where we actually can turn back the hands of time. We do turn back the hands of time. We get to relive 1 hour all over again. So this morning we got to relive the hour from 1 to 2, turn back the hands of time, and relive the hour from 1 to 2. Now, you might have thought, okay, I had a whole hour to relive, and what did I do with that 1 hour but sleep? Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, everybody's nodding yes on that one. But what if we could choose the 1 hour we could relive every year versus the from 2 a.m. back to 1 a.m. and relive it again? What if we could pick that 1 hour? 1 hour to redo something in a different way. 1 hour to say something you wish you had said at the time. 1 hour to relive as you held the hand of somebody passing away. 1 hour to relive an opportunity that presented itself right before you and you let it slip away. And afterwards, did you only recognize that that opportunity was right there for you and you did not take the opportunity? 1 more hour to say I love you, or more importantly, 1 more hour to say I love myself. Well, you know what? We can do this. We can turn back the hands of time. We can go back this 1 hour. The reason that we want to turn back the hands of time is possibly to let go of regret. It's possibly to let go of remorse. It's to forgive others or forgive ourselves. And I have 3 avenues for us to go back in time and do this. The first avenue is learning the difference between the absolute and the relative. The absolute is absolute. That's the wholeness. That's the allness. That's the all-powerful knowing without limit. That's this thing that some people call God or infinite mind, Yahweh. It doesn't matter what it is that you call it, but it's an absolute thing that's out there. And the relative is actually relative. It's me and you, and recognizing who's sitting out here all the time. In the absolute, there's no time and space. In the mind of the infinite, there's no time and space. Everything's an eternal now. In the relative is where we live. We have time and space. That's why we know what time to turn back our clocks. The hard thing for us to grasp is that we are powerful beings that live in the realm of relative, but at the same time we have at our disposal the absolute. The absolute. So we get to be us. I get to be me. You all get to be you. April, I've got you as an example. April gets to be April. She has a time, for she'll come out here and tell me how old she is or what time it is. And she has a space. Not just the space where she's at right now, but she also has a space that she calls home. She has a space that she calls work. She has a space where she has her hobbies. But you know what? April has something more, just like each one of us. The absolute part of her. The part of her that knows no time. The part of her that is all-powerful, all-loving, and all-knowing. But the thing is we forget that aspect most of the time because we're so in tune with the relative. We're so focusing on the relative all the time. But for centuries, we have been told, I am. April wants to show up and say, I am April Jessup. I am enough. But mystics for thousands of years have come along and say, speak the I am. Forget the Jessup part. Forget the April part. Speak the I am. And if you read Joel Goldsmith enough, Joel Goldsmith says you don't even need the am. Just go to I. Just recognize the I. So when you exclaim I am, you're exclaiming the absolute. You are exclaiming the aspect of you that knows no time and knows no space. So when I have the gumption to say that we might actually be able to go back to that 1 hour of our choosing and relive it, I don't necessarily mean that we actually turn back the hands of time and relive the hour. But what I'm saying is that we can go to that aspect of us that was there at the time and that is not limited by time and space. So there's that dual aspect of you that was there in the situation and the relative. It was your relative aspect of you and your absolute aspect. And so we're turning back our hands of time to go back to this chance to love once again, or this missed opportunity, or a way to make a different decision at a different time. And where I'm telling you is let the relative go. You don't necessarily have to be there. Grab onto the absolute aspect of you that was there. The absolute aspect of you that was there at the time. Because here you sit on November 4th, and I'm saying you can turn back the hands of time, and what I am saying is you can go back with that absolute aspect of you and change something different in your mind. So I hope I don't lose you here at this point. Right here you are right now in the relative. You also exist in the absolute. So what I am saying is that each one of us has the power to do is to rise above the relative. Rise above it. That is why we call this a metaphysical teaching. Meta